Hi everyone, I'm Eric from Lonesome Reader. Happy New Year. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying the year so far. It's a new year and lots of exciting new books are coming out. I have a huge amount of books that were sent to me, but I've picked out these 11 which I'm going to discuss today and which I think are all really exciting and interesting. So let me get into them. It's always difficult to decide which book to start reading in the new year because it feels like that book is going to set the reading tone for the rest of your year, and you always want to start out with a really good book. And I've started with this book called Virgin and Other Stories by April Ayers Lawson, and this is published by Granta Books. And I've read a few of the stories in this already. It's Lawson's first book, and they're stories mostly set in the American South and have a lot to do with young people sort of discovering love and discovering sex and discovering the ways of romance. And they're sort of peculiarly told in this tone of voice which gives a different slant on romantic life. I'm finding her writing really striking and interesting, so I'm glad I started with these short stories. The next is Gilded Cage by Vic James, and this is published by Pan Books. It's about Luke and his sister Abby. They're about to go into university, but they're drawn into slavery and this sort of dystopian magical future, and the story is about them wrestling with these higher powers that are controlling them. The back says, in a modern Britain, everyone must endure 10 years of slavery for a magically skilled aristocracy. So I think this sounds like a really intriguing new slant on a young adult magical book. Next is Swimming Lessons by Claire Fuller. This is published by Fig Tree. It's about a man and his children where the mother has gone missing, and the family try to find out what happened to her by reading through letters which have been left around the house. So I think it's a really intriguing mystery book, and Claire Fuller is a beautiful writer, so I'm very eager to read this. Next is a memoir called Once Upon a Time in the East by Zilu Go, and this is published by Chatto and Windus. I've read her writing before, and I think it's extraordinary, so I'm really intrigued to read this memoir about her actual experiences, which sound extraordinary. When she was 7 years old, she met her parents for the first time, and it's about the story of her upbringing and a story about what it's like to grow up in China. So I'm very intrigued to read what will no doubt be a very emotional memoir. Next is The Trader's Niche by Ismail Kadre. This is published by Harville Secker, and it takes place during the Ottoman Empire. In Constantinople, there's a stone with a niche carved in it where the heads of the Sultan's enemies are displayed for the public after they've been beheaded, and it's about the man who brings the heads to this niche and who is the next head which is going to be brought to this niche. So this will no doubt be quite a grim tale, but I think it's told in quite a surreal way, so I'm very intrigued and interested by this novel. Welcome to Lagos by Chibundu Onuzu, and this is published by Faber and Faber. This is about a group of disparate individuals who come together, who are all searching for their own kind of freedom, including a man who's deserted the army. So I think this novel is about different personal struggles against the reigning government and people asserting to have their own voices heard. I'm really intrigued and excited by new Nigerian literature. Last year, one of my favorite books was Under the Odala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta, and I thought it was just such a beautiful book. I think Nigeria is a really intriguing, conflicted country, and there's lots of interesting literature coming out of it. Innocence and Others by Dana Spiota, and this is published by Picador. This is about two girls who grow up in Los Angeles and they both become filmmakers. One makes sort of obscure documentaries and the other makes really popular films. And it's about their different approaches to life. And then they also meet someone named Jelly who has a strange seductive power. So I think this is a really intriguing book. It's the writing has been likened to Jennifer Egan and Ali Smith. So I think it'll be quite highly intelligent writing, but with a surrealist slant. The Vanishing by Sophia Tobin, and this is published by Simon & Schuster. This is about a brother and sister who live in a house in the remote Yorkshire moors, and a girl who comes from London to be a housekeeper for them, and the secrets that she discovers in this house. I always get really intrigued by remote house stories because you're in an isolated environment and it feels like an opportunity for exploring really twisted psychology. So I think this will be a really fun, intriguing read that you just want to like snuggle up with under the covers and read with a big cup of tea. Homegoing by Ya Gyasi. This is published by Viking. It's finally being published in the UK. There's been so much press about it in America. It's about two African sisters and it follows the bloodline of their family through multiple generations, and so shows a portrait over centuries about the history of slavery. There's been so much talk about this book. I don't need to summarize it probably. I saw Ya Gyasi read from this book several months ago, and I also had this absolutely beautiful proof of it. And when I saw her read, I had her sign the book to me, so that's exciting. And I'm really excited to read this book after hearing so much about it and hearing her read from it and hearing everybody talk about it. So even though there's been so much hype about it, I think this is going to be a great read, a really powerful read, and it has an absolutely beautiful cover. The Knicks by Nathan Hill, and this is published by Picador. This is another novel which has been much talked about. It's been really successful in America. It's about a young man who teaches at a local college, and he's sort of bored with his life. He plays a lot of online video games, and one day he sees on the news his mother involved in a really violent protest, which goes totally against his idea of his mother. So he has to contend with his whole conception of his mother. Is she how he remembers her, or has she transformed into somebody else? This is a very long novel, which is about modern times, and so I'm very excited to read it. And finally, The Golden Legend by Nadim Aslam. This is published by Faber and Faber. It's a novel about religious intolerance. It's about the past and present of Pakistan, and Aslam writes so beautifully and intelligently. I think he's really strikingly original. I've read all of his books and I just think he's extraordinary. So I'm very excited to read this book. So those are all books which are going to keep me very busy reading in January. Which of them are you most intrigued by? And what else have you been reading in January so far? So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you're having a good 2017 so far, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!